Same Place Worlds Apart. Today we'll be looking at theme 6, healthier behaviours. We've got brilliant guests with us today, and I'm going to start off introducing yourself.
I am Queen Joan from the Queen's Walking Group.
And yourself?
I'm Donovan Grant from the Men's Walking Group.
Excellent. So today, like I said, we're looking at healthier behaviours. And I want to ask you both, why do you think we brought you on? I know, really big question, but...
Really big question. Well, most people know that I created the Queen's Walking Group back in 2020 in the lockdown. I have high blood pressure. And when we went into the pandemic, whatever they want to call it, I had to find a way to keep myself healthy and keep myself fit still. So I decided to, we're going into the lockdown, and I thought, well, what could I do to keep myself fit and healthy? So it's really interesting how all of my team suddenly became sick so they could work from home, and I was still going into the office. So there was about 2 of us that have a team of about 12 that was still going into the office at that time. So going into the office, and I think when the gyms shut, that was kind of like the real nail in the coffin for me, because what was I going to do to try and keep myself healthy and fit? And bearing in mind, when they diagnosed me with blood pressure, it was quite a shock to the system, because I'd done all the right things. I've always been fit and active. I'd go to fitness events, weekenders, etc. I drank the water, or I didn't get enough sleep. So that's a little bit of a, but I tried to do the right things to maintain that healthy lifestyle. So it took a bit of time to accept that. And when I accepted that, I knew my life would be quite different. So going into work, waking up early. So we're looking at around, April time. And as I said, when they shut the gyms, it was, how could I keep myself well? So I decided to start walking in the mornings because I could fit that in. So I'd go out early in the mornings, come back, and then off to work. And then a couple of weeks later on that journey, one of my primary school friends rang me. And you bump into your friends, you keep telling them, you need to go to the gym, you need to do this. You give your friends good advice, but they don't listen. Yeah, they don't listen. So she's been diagnosed with blood pressure. I said, well, all that I'm doing now is walking, but you can come walking with me. So we'd go walking, and I give her my little health tips, and encourage her. And she tried different things. So, for example, when she went to the petrol station, she had this really bad habit of buying chocolate peanuts. I said, you don't really need chocolate peanuts. You can buy something more healthy. So I gave her a little tips. We did green days, water days and things like that. And then I'd see people out walking. It was interesting. It's like all my neighbours that I'd never, ever seen before were coming out of these houses thinking, oh, you live down there and you live behind here. So that was quite interesting. I'd see people walking, not walking. And then the second element was I'm quite a spiritual person. And I kept hearing, Joan, start a walking group. This went on for weeks. Joan, start a walking group. And sometimes in our community they say you must follow your mind. And so it went on for quite a few weeks. And then we had this thing in the community as well back then, ring 10 people to see how they're getting on. So I was on it, ringing my friends, how's it all going? But I wasn't getting the response I thought I'd get. I had one friend, really, really good friend, and she said to me, Joan, I was in my box room, and because everybody turned their houses into offices, not me, not me. And she said the walls were coming in on her. And I thought, oh my God, what's that about? And another friend of mine said to me, Joan, I had to walk around Mountsfield Park a couple of times. I felt so strange. She couldn't explain what she was feeling, but she said, I felt so strange. And I'm there thinking, what's wrong with these people? I'm at home. My garden, we had the best summer ever. My garden was my office. Every week I was going to Lidl to go and buy the plants and fix up. And, I had a little desk out there, had the music out there, had the laptop out there. It was just boom. So then I said to myself, oh, this is ridiculous. I thought, right, I'm going to do this for 6 weeks because I really thought we were going to be coming out of that madness within about 6 weeks. So I said, right, I'll just put it out to my friends on WhatsApp. Who wants to come walking? Because all I'm doing is walking right now. So when they said to me, I had 37 responses, and I said, Jesus Christ. What am I going to do with all these people? Yeah, seriously. So I thought, oh God, right, I've got to really think this through now because they really want to come out. So 37 said they're coming. And on that Saturday morning, so I started like in the June, 20, I think it was 25 or 26 people came out. And that was the birth of the walking group.
Excellent.
We've been walking ever since 2020.
Love it.
Fantastic.
I can see you've got all your medals and stuff. I'm going to come back so you can tell us all about this
Of
in a minute.
course.
But Donovan, your turn. Why do you think
my
we
turn.
chose
well,
to
just
bring
before
you guys in?
my turn, I just want to celebrate that,
Yeah.
John, because you know, acting on ideas, we don't often do it. You know, many of us, we get ideas and we think, nah, not me. You know, so the fact that you did that and you got 37 people, you know, signed up straight away and 25 turn. That's amazing.
Yeah, but
So-
here's the thing though, within the 6 weeks, it was nearly 100
Exactly.
women.
There you go.
Whoa.
There you go.
Nearly 100 within the 6 weeks. And we'd be walking and we'd have people stopping us. Is it a march?
Oh my goodness.
Seriously, are you
Yeah.
protesting? They couldn't just see us out as
Yeah, just
beautiful
walking.
queens
Yeah.
walking.
How do people sign up? Just before we move on to
Yeah,
just
sure,
how do people sign up? Because this can be a nice
Mm.
snapshot.
All they need to do is just WhatsApp me. I'm really good at WhatsApp. All these other platforms that I just can't keep up, but you just WhatsApp me, and and the way in which I run the group, it's all about love. We're very welcoming. There's no judgment. Often they'll say to me, "Oh, Joan, I can't walk fast, you know," or "Joan, I got pain here in my leg, my hip." Walking is what will strengthen your body. Yeah. So I have women that come to me in all different conditions. I just come to me for 6 weeks and I'll turn you around.
Fantastic, brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And we'll make sure your details are
Yeah.
in the
Absolutely.
description.
Absolutely. So yeah, I guess you say, why am I invited? So I'm representing the Walking Men's Group. We're based in Catford, and we do like a walk and a talk session every other Saturday. A couple of the founders, Richard and Leon, I don't know the full story, but there was similar sort of thing after the pandemic. Lots of men were isolated, alone, you know, not going out their house, not doing anything, and they had an idea to get men to come together, to talk together, to talk about things that men don't talk about, because men are really good at like not telling anyone about problems, even their partner. Sometimes it could be a challenge. So I got a WhatsApp from one of my mates, Marcus, and he just said, "Hey, there's this men's group starting." I think it was like, I got it on the Thursday and it's going to start on the Saturday. And I know Marcus really well, so if he's involved, I'm going to get involved and just go and have a look. And yeah, we literally we go to Beckenham Place Park in Catford. We walk around for an hour, just talking, reasoning, you know, just getting some fresh air really. And then we go back to the hub in Catford, and we may have a speaker, or we just talk about men's stuff. And we talk about some interesting stuff: prostate, diabetes, blood pressure, like you mentioned, menopause, the men's side of menopause. I mean, there's lots of things that we talk about which men ordinarily wouldn't talk about to anybody. And the essence of what we're trying to do really is to get men to just be willing to get out of the comfort zone a little bit and actually grow to become whatever they want to become. I mean, I'll tell you a little bit. Our 4 values are self-mastery, truth, respect, and service. And in a nutshell, the self-mastery is, how can we be a better version of ourselves? Whether it's mentally, spiritually, physically, how can we be better? The truth is, what is your truth? Because your truth is your truth. Don't be afraid to speak it. Yeah. And respect is respect that other people can have different views from you. And, you know, we don't have to appreciate everything or like everything they say, but just respect it. And the service is what we're going to do because we've become a better person. I know example of things we're going to be doing is things in the community for younger people, for other men who maybe not connected with the group yet, and beyond that. But the essence of what we're doing is very much about healthier behaviours. So it ties in really excellently with the theme today.
Exciting, isn't it?
And I'm definitely going to come back to you because you've got some lovely nuggets about the activities you guys have been getting up to. And I'm actually just so in awe of both of you because you're just doing amazing things in the community. And it just shows that away from statutory level, the kind of services that the community can access that
Absolutely.
for the people, by the people. and I absolutely love it.
It's a bit like what you said. Is it's about service and it's about the doing. So we don't have to sit back and wait for statutory organisations to say, well, we're doing things for you. We can do for self.
Absolutely.
And I'm very much about doing for self.
Yeah, 100%.
Same question to you though. How do people get involved?
How do people get involved? So we've got flyers, we've got business cards. We encourage our members to actively tell anybody, not just men, tell women that, because everyone's going to know somebody. We've got a website, we've got Instagram that we post on regularly. So we use online and offline methods. And in fact, a quick story, I was in, my wife and I was in Corfu 3 weeks ago, and there was a black couple staying at the same hotel as us, and just one day we're just chatting, and my wife said, "Have you told him about Walking Men's Group?" Because they live in West Wickham.
Love it.
And I said, "Oh, right, yeah." I gave him a quick spiel. "Oh, yeah, we do this walk and talk, blah, blah, blah." He said, yeah, sign me up. And his wife is in the background going, yeah, that's for you. And literally this Saturday just gone, or the Saturday just gone, the last session, he turned up.
Fantastic.
He had a whale of a time.
Wow.
So
Fantastic.
literally word of mouth and online.
Brilliant. And similarly, we'll put the details
And
on
it's your
social
branding.
medias in
You
the
know, I've been out
description.
in Jamaica walking in my t-shirt, and this lady recognised me up in the hills walking,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
and she goes, "Oh, do you know Queen Joan?"
Love it.
I said, "Yes, I do."
Nice.
So the spin-off from the walking group now, because when we went into the heavy side of the lockdown and we couldn't walk, I started to Zoom, and often I've got a YouTube channel which I don't do anymore because I don't have the time basically. So I'd often say when I go onto when I was on the Zoom now, I'm only doing this because we can't walk. I'd have all these messages. What's the walking? What's the walking? So the spin-off now, we've got walking groups like in Milton Keynes. So the lady that I met in Jamaica, she actually lives in Milton Keynes. Can you believe that?
Wow.
And because she recognised the branding.
Yeah, of course.
Milton Keynes, Streatham, Brixton. Oh goodness, all over the place.
Yeah. It's the way it should be.
Yeah. Get
Sow
people
seeds wherever you go.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's dive into this report.
Yes.
So I think actually let's look at the key findings and then we can delve deeper into the intricacies of it. So when I looked at the key findings when reading the report, I was really shocked by some of the findings, and I guess maybe it's some of my prejudices and maybe the people that I have around me. Because really, when you look at like the alcohol intake and the consumption, I guess again, because of the people that I'm around, I thought the consumption would have been a little bit higher in our community because we do like a little tipple. But so let's go through this. So the percentage of physical activity in adults by ethnicity, white British is 63.1%, and black 53.3%. Percentage of adults achieving 5 a day in their diet by ethnicity is 55.9% black and 44.2% white, Percentage of adult smokers by ethnicity, 0.7% of black people are smokers, 14.4% are white British. Harmful or dependent alcohol consumption by ethnicity and gender, white British men it's at 30.8% and black men it's 6.6%, and then white British women is 14.8% and black women is 7.4%, and actually the black women's got a higher consumption than the black men. Obesity in adults by ethnicity, white British 63.7% and black is 67.5%.
Just a correction on the adult smokers. You said 0.7% for black.
Did I say 0?
Yeah, but it's
Oh my
9,
goodness,
it's
that's made up.
9.7.
Made up figures.
We'll let you off.
Corrections, sorry.
Obesity in adults, does that mean that 60, the figure they're speaking about is the amount of people that are obese?
Yeah.
And adulthood? Wow.
Of the group that
Of the group that they had,
interviewed.
that they had spoken to and
Wow.
filled out.
Yeah, because that's always the thing with data. It's like how big is the pot of data that
Yeah.
and who are the people?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yes, good point. But I'm always, because I do a lot of data in work as well. You have to be mindful of this is just a small section of people they spoke to out of millions, so.
I'm looking at this thinking, well, it's just figures, isn't it? I don't believe it's our reality, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
And then if you look at the fact that this was Birmingham and Lewisham that came together, so really how much of this is more Birmingham and how much is more Lewisham?
Yeah, precisely.
But they must be very similar. I mean, I was in Birmingham over the weekend, and certain parts of Birmingham, you'd think you're in Catford.
Literally.
Other parts of Birmingham, you'd think you're in Dulwich.
Yeah.
Like, it really is interchangeable. But what I find quite striking is speaking about the harmful or dependent alcohol consumption. I don't know how it would be quite difficult to get this because it's about people's understanding of what a dependent alcohol consumption looks like and your ability to be able to engage with people who have harmful dependency on alcohol. It's going to be quite a tricky thing to
it's a really good point because, like, you know, we've seen medical surveys where they say how many units do you drink per day, per week, etc. And it might be something like that, and they've got a certain limit. It's like, oh, over 10, that's, you know, that's harmful. So we got no idea how to get that, which is I agree. It's a bit of a it's a bit of a funny one.
And again, remember this was also done during lockdown. So
Which I would have
so people's dependency might have been increased.
I would have thought it was worse. Yeah, precisely. Precisely.
So actually, if we looked at this again and we got people to fill it out, would these percentages remain the same, or would they be slightly lower, or would they be higher? Because you know, cost of living, things have got a lot worse.
It's about where you go.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, Catford, just as an objective view, has a lot of like clear harmful alcohol dependency. You can sort of see it all kind of. Not to say that's the whole demographic of Catford, but there are particular areas that I find you can see it out and about.
Yeah. I agree with you, and I think that it's just a snapshot that we see. Do you know what I mean? And it can be easy to think, because I mean, I know my sister-in-law, she lives in Greenwich, Deptford. She, Catford, you got a load of drunkards and druggies up there. And I'm like, yeah, but I've seen drunkards and druggies in Deptford. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So don't tell me, you know, it's like, I ain't coming to Catford. So if you just see a snapshot, you come along a few times, you drive through, and on the main roads, you're going to see that. Because that's where they hang out. You know, they hang out on the main roads. But I don't think I don't think there's enough evidence to say that is what Catford's like. Do you know what I mean? And everyone's entitled to this is my opinion. Personally.
I think you're completely right. I mean, you go up to the more affluent and wealthy areas, it's exactly the same. It's just done at home.
Exactly
Do you know what I mean? It's just done at home, and there's like more, I don't know, maybe socially acceptable ways of having harmful dependence on alcohol. Do you see what I'm saying? So
So if we look at like the key behaviours that impact on the risk of death and disease, it's saying that physical activity, which obviously you've both highlighted within the work that you're doing, diet and nutrition, so you know how we're eating healthier. Sorry, this is on page 67, so it's going back slightly. And then smoking, drugs and alcohol. Now, for me, I'm really concerned. I mean, the physical activity, you're both doing amazing stuff, and there's amazing organisations across Lewisham as well tackling support of like young people with activities. But the diet and nutrition really scares me about what that looks like for us and going forward. And I know for me, I mean, I used to go to, but I still do, like Aldi, and I could pick up a basket and I'm good. Now that basket is costing, I might as well go Sainsbury's. That's how I'm feeling. So now when you're trying to feed your families, you're always going to go for whatever you can get. And sometimes, and there's a quote in this book as well about the chicken and chip shops being available and having special offers and being more accessible for a family to go out and buy. And I think there needs to be more looking at getting us to go back to basics, understanding that you don't need a big field outside to grow your own food. You can grow things on your balcony. And there needs to be more work in there. I know that we've got Cocoa Collective who does amazing work, but I feel like there's something missing. Some schools do impart some knowledge, but we need to bring our young people and ourselves back to our roots. Because like you said, when you went to Jamaica, that's just, you just pick things off the tree, just and live. Over here, it's so different.
But it's also about our community understanding food. So, you know, obviously back in slavery now, they fed us in a particular way because they wanted us to be strong to work. But now, in this country, in this environment, we're eating the hard food. It's just building up all the, you know, health, diseases, it's raising your blood pressure, the sugar content, the salt content, the way in which we cook, the way in which we prepare food. So one thing I'll give Lewisham Preps for is a project that I'm involved in, which is Up. Got my little reminder here. So, they've got this program running. So I'm one of the delivery partners for Up. So it's a program specifically for the Black African Caribbean community. It's free to join. They come 1 week and they do, we've got this wicked book as well. Yes. So Public Health funds this, which is it's so good. And we talk about our food. So we're talking about the jollof rice, the plantain, the fufu, the yam, the way in which we prepare food. And then on alternate weeks, we do exercise. So they have resistant band training, or they can come out and walk with me. Now, the walking element, it's really hard to get them out to walk, so I'm going to be doing a lot more work with them. But it's really good that this borough of Lewisham, we've got a program specifically targeted for our community.
What's the age demographic for that program?
18 plus.
18 plus. Yeah. And again, how would people access?
They can self-refer. They can speak to their GP. I used to get them to talk to me, but that's a job in itself. When the project, it's not perfect. I'll be quite honest, it's not perfect. So often, when the program just launched, I'll be getting loads of calls. Joan, we've tried to register and we can't register. Or they leave messages, they're not getting calls returned. I don't know. I've stepped back because that's not my role. But I don't ever want us to have a disservice as a community. Don't tell me this program is for us and they can't sign up and they can't register, etc. So I do kind of like pop in still to the project to see how they're doing, and just to give them the encouragement. But and it's quite difficult as well because when they say I went to my GP and my GP doesn't know. But to be fair to the GP, they've got so much things they've got to try and remember when they're signposting us to different things. So, I normally walk with these in my bag, and if I see people, I just give them out. I do other events as well. So you'll come to an event and you'll see the Up banner there, you'll see the registration forms, you'll see the flyers there, because, we really have to try and claim back our health. Yeah. When I'm in the gym and I'm on the Stairmaster and I'm thinking, you need to be in the gym. I see them at the bus stop, their nails are done, their hair is done, their lashes are done, they got the latest, but the weights, they just need to, take control. Yeah. And if we can go into the community and have those conversations, and we've got the material as well to do it, we can change the narrative. It's about education. Once you know better, you can do better.
So true. I was going to say the Up program, a member of my family went through it and got really great accolade for what the program does. So 100%, I salute you again. Joan, you're doing so much great things. But,
it's about the doing, trust me.
Yeah, absolutely. What I would say as well about nutrition, though, nutrition is a hard one because people have habits that how they eat and whatever, and what's the easiest thing to do? Sometime go chicken shop or whatever. Some people have that sort of habit, and for you to turn around and say, let's have vegetables with some cooked chicken or whatever it is, that day, it could take an hour and a half to cook this meal, and I can just go to the shop. So that's. So habits is a difficult one. I think that obviously different generations, the eating habits are going to be different. Our generation, I'm probably a little bit older than you, Serena. Actually, I'd say I turned 60 in January, so I'm but only look goody. But what happened to me, as an example, 2020, the year after, COVID and all that stuff, in August, I was, because I was pre-diabetic, for a couple of years when I was doing my medical health check. And then in August that year, September, October, I was diagnosed with type 1. But when you get in adults, they call it type 1.5. So I was diagnosed with type 1, and it was the weeks leading up to the diagnosis. I literally, you can see I'm not very big, I'm about 12.5 stones or whatever, 72.5 kilos. And I lost 8 kilos in the space of 2 or 3 weeks. And what's going through my mind is like, have I got cancer? Have I got this? Because I don't know why I'm losing this weight all of a sudden. And luckily the nurse that I worked with, who was my pre-diabetic nurse, she said, let's do this test. And we diagnosed it as type 1. So instantly my sort of like life changed in terms of what I eat. Because like you're saying, we're eating all this starchy stuff, all these carbohydrates, all this stuff here. I had to change from eating lots. I was always healthy, because I always work out, I play sport, etc. But it changed the way I eat. I had no choice because, well, you do have a choice, because this is the thing. You could either say, I don't care, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, or the sort of mindset I think that I tend to do is, I want to do this as best I can. I can't necessarily fix it because it's type 1. I've got to use insulin. I've got to count my carbohydrates. I've got to do it day in, day out. I've got to adjust my eating. And so it's not easy. And I think sometimes, people want things to be easy. Because, no one wants it the hard. They want it to be easy. But I think to make the habit change that people need to do, it's got to be a sacrifice. We talked earlier on about sacrificing your time or your sleep or this or whatever. There has to be, if you want to change something, you have to make a sacrifice. So what it became really for me is, it's almost like you have to start with your identity. Who do I want to be? Yeah. Do I want to be a healthy person? Do I want to be this person? Or do I just want to do what I want to do person? So your identity has to come first. And then you can say, okay, if I want to be this person, what do I need to do? What are habits I need to do? And then, like Joan says, take action. Yeah. But you have to start with, who do I want to be? No matter what age you are, you have to say, who do I want to be? And then you follow through. So it's a long story, but I've, I was at 4 years now. I've been on this thing, and my HbA1c, when I manage it, is always now in the green.
Excellent.
In the green. But it's a daily thing. When I wake up, I check it. I've got one of those chips. Okay. Check my numbers. Do this, and people have to make sacrifice.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things I often say, like when we have a new group, starting, and I say to them, you and the doctor is not friend. It's not your brethren. Yeah. Just to try and wake them up to get them to think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doctors, you don't want to be. Doctors needs to be that long distant cousins that you hardly ever see. Seriously.
That's exactly my philosophy. I try and stay out of doctor thing because everyone's sick in there.
Exactly. You don't want to be with the sick people then.
I don't want to be there.
Exactly.
So my doctor sees me as little as possible. Yeah, and that's how I like it.
Yeah.
Just a quick story to chip in. Sorry. One of the things out of Walking Men, this guy Chris, probably a few sessions ago, I was just going around asking people, what sort of things have changed since you've been part of Walking Men, etc. And what he said was, when we had an expo, November, December, and he came along. First time he'd actually come along to a Walking Men thing, because he works with the organisation there, the hub. And he said he heard someone talk about prostrate and whatever, and he knew he had it in his family, but he's never really paid it any mind. And like within that week, he got himself tested, he got the all clear, and he said it's only because he was in that environment
that's what it's about.
Where someone said something positive. So one of the speakers that come in has said, always speak life into people.
Absolutely.
Speak life into your goals, speak life into whatever you're doing. And that's how this guy, Chris, his life has changed just because of that one moment. And that's all it takes. All it takes.
That's what we're hoping we can achieve with this. Someone can hear one of the guests speaking and it resonates with them. So like when you're talking about habits, for me, that's like me. I completely 100% agree with you. Our whole disposition to health has to be based around what our habits look like. So when we go into the shop, are we turning around and looking at the ingredients? Are we reading how? And there has to be a link. We spoke about this a couple episodes ago when we were saying, I said I saw a lady given, the child couldn't have been older than 2-3 years old, a 7-Up, a can of 7-Up. And I was saying that there's a lot of us don't make the connection between what we're consuming and what that means for health. So as far as a lot of us are concerned, it's just their favorite drink. It's not, there's not like the sugar intake isn't considered in that respective. And I think we just need to, and it feels like a chore and burdensome until it becomes a habit. And then once it becomes a habit, you can't even imagine doing it the other way again. Absolutely. You can't imagine just doing anything. You really consider everything that you do, you know. So really
so
point.
true, so true.
One thing I want to talk about as well is, you know, healthier behaviours within us as a community. Obviously, the onus is on us, but it also depends on where you live. Because where I live, my high street looks very different to Blackheath High Street. So we have certain things that are going to make us sicker, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, because we've got like 5 betting shops on my high street. We've got 4 chicken and chip shops. Then we've also got the kebab shops. We've got all of this, and then we've got one yoga place just sort of slotted in randomly. But part of me is like, is this by design? That we have these in these areas? Because like I said, if I go Blackheath, there's loads of beautiful shops that I can pop into. The air feels fresher. I won't say my area. I think I might have said it a few episodes ago, but it's just different.
A lot of nature shops and health shops.
Yeah,
when
we
you
don't
go,
really have that.
And
again, that's when you see the drinkers outside, because these things are accessible. The off license are there, always giving certain deals. So again, with the healthier behaviours, it's about educating ourselves, but then also the powers that be that allow people to rent these spots need to be thinking about who they are giving these spots to. And it's not just about financial, it's about the people in your area, your constituency, and how they are going to develop. Because it's too accessible. Even my children's schools, as soon as they come out of school, there's about 5 shops that they can go and buy foolishness in. And it's not okay, but then no one's manning that. Other than like myself telling my son he's not going there, you find yourself home. But again, it's still accessible to them.
It's different drivers, isn't it?
And then my next point was, when you spoke about up, there's a thing that our borough has and other boroughs do, which is called social prescribing. So that's when, instead of giving you like a prescription for hardcore drugs for pain or whatever it is, they try to give you support out into the community. So it is up part of that social prescribing, where they understand, they might meet a patient, the patient's got high blood pressure, weight problem.
Because I'm connected. I mean, I go everywhere, and working from home has been a blessing, because I use my lunchtime and I'll go to meetings. Often you'll come to my house. I've got the work laptop and I've got my personal laptop, and I'm in a meeting. You know, I ensure that I want to know what's going on. You know, I want to know who do I need to connect with to get what I do out there. So they do know about the Queen's Walking Group. Is it Lewisham Local? I think they're called. I think they've called me a couple of times just to ensure the details are up to date on their system. But I mean, as I say, most people know about us. Out there. We're just kind of like lighting it up, trailblazing. And we have to, we cannot. I mean, to me, we're in a crisis. You know, especially like, you know, I've got a big birthday coming up next year, and our community, they really need to, wake up. They need to see what's going on and not be so accepting. So when the GP tells you you're pre-diabetic, that's alarm bells ringing. You know, when they say your blood pressure slightly raised, that's alarm bells ringing. What are you eating? What's setting up your pressure like that? You know, if you've got certain things in your family, you know, just having like your basic annual health check at your GP, they need to know, they need to be going to do that. It's free.
At least.
Go and do that once a year. There's certain things, certain key messages that we have to get out to our community. Basic things. So I am out there doing my little bit, encouraging. I mean, I was in a nail shop the other day, and this lady, because I'd just done the rushing from, because we walked from Catford to Clapham to do the Race for Life, because we do a lot of fundraising as well within the community. So rushing back now, and this lady saw, because I had my medal on, and I still had my bib on, etc. from the race, and she was saying to me, "Oh, my knees, and you know, I really wish I could walk." I said, "Here's my card." And I talked to her, you know. I said, "Here's my card." I said, "Within 6 weeks, I can turn you around. You don't have to walk fast. We don't do power walking. You walk at your own pace. You just walk and talk, you know. And if it's the finance skills, you're going to get a lesson in finance. If it's the social workers, you're going to get a lesson in what they do, because it's such a diverse group of women that participate in the walking group. You come, everyone's welcome. I don't do cliques. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's one. So every week you come and walk with different people. You meet different people. So and that's how I've kept it on that plateau. So you might see them 1 week, you might not see them for 2 weeks, you might not see them for a month. It doesn't matter. Just come when you're ready.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Just going back to, you spoke about health checks. There's 6 organisations that have been commissioned under public health to go into different areas of Lewisham. So we've got 6 primary care networks.
Yes.
And there was a group called Red Ribbon who are part of the Deptford area. And when they held their forums, they had health checks and they would open it out to the community and you could see anybody. There was sexual health support, diabetic support, anything you needed, and you can get your blood pressure checked. They did HIV testing as well. And I thought it was absolutely amazing that people actually were able just to be walking past the wardrobe and just step in. And I feel like there needs to be a lot more of that. And also demystifying, because I know my dad, he won't go GP. His leg has to be hanging off, or me and my siblings have to push him in, kicking and screaming. But again, it's for him having the understanding, because again, with prostate checks, our black men ain't gonna go and get a check because in their heads, why have I got to do that procedure? But they don't even understand that the checks have changed. Doesn't have to be that anymore.
For the first time, before I came here,
Everybody's worried about the rubber glove.
Yeah.
You don't need a rubber glove anymore. That's true. It's true. I was like that. I was. So
but for the first time, I saw an advert. Prostate Cancer have an advert dedicated to encouraging black men to go and have prostate checks. I saw that today for the first time on TV. On a, can I say the channel?
Yeah.
Channel 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really
And I thought, wow. Look how far we've come.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at last they're recognising the stats. Was it 1 in 2?
No, 1 in 4.
1 in 4?
1 in 4.
Yeah. Look at the stats for a black man.
Yeah, 1 in 4.
Serious.
And the point you make there is really good, because I encourage people to have health checks. I mean, fortunately, from when I first started work, I worked at companies where they give you medical help every year. And even when I left those industries, I've carried on. I want to know what my numbers are. And so the message I say to people is, look, you don't know what your numbers are. You know, you're seeing friends, peer group get strokes, because there's a lot of people been having strokes the last couple of years. You're seeing peer group get strokes, some got diabetes and their leg, you know, they got to chop a toe off and all this stuff. And these are the things that frighten me, which is why I'm on this diabetes. And I say to people, you can't play with this stuff, because the doctor will just say, here you go, here's some tablets or whatever, you know, take 2 of those. And it appeases the mind and all that stuff there. But what good is it really doing? Because I really think we should be looking at what we can do to prevent stuff with the natural foods, like you're saying, Joan. You know, eat a better diet, and you're going to be a better person. You'll have more energy. You go out, you do your walks, and then you connect with the community. Because I think even that is another aspect which I'm sure the Queens and the walking group do, is to talking with other people. Hearing about someone else's story, how their week's been, or how they coped with this ailment that they had, and realizing you're not alone. There's other people in the same boat. So let's connect, you know, form 1, 2, 3, and you get a bigger group. And then we're all like-minded, we're all bringing each other along. And that's really, that's how I see it. And I'm quite passionate about it, because I think that we could do so much without the GP's involvement.
Oh, absolutely. So you need to get involved. I mean, I attended I was invited to the diabetes conference last week. Or was it the week before? I did so much stuff, I can't even remember. Over recently. At East London University. So it'd be great to have you on board with that, even just to share your story and just to, it's about spreading it, because it's not just Lewisham, you know, it's black people
absolutely
up and down the country that need us and need to hear the message.
No, I definitely will. I mean, one of the things which is on the back burner at the moment, I'm going to start a YouTube channel just about living with type 1 diabetes as a black man. Do you know what I mean? Because people just need to see and hear and realise that it's not, you know, because there's a myth with some people that if they get a certain ailment, it's the end. You know, they're going to pop it, you know. One of their siblings may have passed away at a certain age, so they think, oh, I'm going to be going out, you know, at that age, or their dad met, or, you know, whatever. And it's the myths. they're myths. You know,
some of it's not so much myths. I mean, I've got a friend where, like, I think it's her mum, her auntie, quite a few of them died from breast cancer. So now she's on that program. Every 6 months she has to get checked. So there's certain things they need to kind of like. If you know certain things run in your family, make sure you go and talk to GP so they can get you on that program. So you've got the regular checks.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. And sometimes it's the behaviours that run in the family as well, aside from what you're speaking about. We've got some behaviours that run in families, like excessive use of salt, excessive use of seasoning and sugar, that lead to the ailments that we sometimes consider to be hereditary, but it's actually the behaviour that can be hereditary as opposed to the ailment at times.
And remember, you know, we as Caribbean people and African people, we eat for taste. Our food must be tasty. So they're putting in all these powder things, you know, and I'm trying to not. I mean, my son came and cooked some oxtail for me the other day. I couldn't eat it. He put brown in. He put this in it, and because I don't really have a lot of salt in my food, as I did this, I thought, oh God, no, I can't eat that at all. So I left it to them. I just, but it just shows how my palate, because of the way that I've sort of adjusted my life because of my health condition now. You know, I know I'm not really into the salt, even sugar. I used to have like 2 and 3 spoons of sugar in my tea. What was that all about? Even the condensed milk.
Oh.
Yeah. All them things.
That's the hardest one.
all them things we do, you know, not realising, you know, our poor little bodies are gradually breaking down because we're, you know, such unhealthy habits that we've developed. But, you know, education, knowledge, and unfortunately, if we get the condition, we have to deal with it. A bit like what you said, you had to accept it. You've got to do every day. That's your reality, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to move on to the opportunities for action. But before we do that, there's a segment in here talking about sexually transmitted infections. And it's saying that STIs, this is on page 71, the population rates of STI diagnosis is high among people of black ethnicity nationally, but varied amongst black African and black Caribbean ethnic groups. For example, in 2020, people of black Caribbean ethnicity had the highest diagnosis rates of gonorrhea and, someone help me say that, I don't know how to say that.
Trichomoniasis.
There you go, thank you. While people of black African ethnicity had relatively lower rates of these STIs. But one thing you should all know, because we all should be going there, but when you're over a certain age in Lewisham, there's only one specific place that we can go to get support, and that's at the Wardrobe. Where before you could go within your GP surgery, but now that's strictly for the younger generation. So I wonder how much of that is actually playing a key role in this. Because also, I mean,
it's access, isn't it? You know, and you know, whether it's access through sexual, you know, it's access to lots of things. You know, food and, you know, health treatments, and you know, it's always about, you know, why there's these barriers. You know, and it's all a lot of it's, you know, financially driven. And to be quite honest, who are the ones that suffer the most? It's our community and others. You know, the poorer areas. You know, they're the ones that are more affected, unfortunately. I mean, it's even like, you know, with our walking groups, you know, I already know when in the height of the pandemic, you know, I had women coming in from Brixton, Tulse, Surrey Keys, all over to walk. But now to get them to come from another part of the borough to come to go walking, it's almost impossible. You know, so a lot of things. I mean, one of my dreams is to have like Queen's walking groups in other parts of the area just to get people out walking. You know, and get that, you know, level of activity into their lives.
And you're right, it is access because I'm from the other side of the borough. So even me going to Deptford is a mission. It's easier for me to get to Brixton than for me to get down to Deptford.
Exactly.
But again, they've blocked some of the roads, so that's another deterrent. And if there's only one specific place you can go to get your sexual health checks. And also, who wants to be in the same venue with everyone else from Lewisham when you're all just sitting there wondering why everyone's there? So I'm glad we touched on that point. So if we look at the opportunities for action,
but then just even even in going back to that, I think it all ties into what we've been speaking about, which is sort of a change to the attitude and the habits. Do you see what I'm saying? So like demystifying some of the stigmas attached to sexual health, because sex is sweet. You know what I mean? Everybody loves sex. You know, we can't be afraid to say that, but you have to discipline your happiness and discipline your sadness. You can't just make happiness just take you, okay, you love sex, so that means anything goes. And I can't be bothered to get it checked because it's just my health. We can't run on a model of better or and like not better. There has to be a holistic running theme of what your health looks like. So if you see your body as a temple, you need to look after that temple. And that's every aspect of health, mental, physical and spiritual, you know?
And I think some of the decisions they make, it's really about, how do we challenge it? What makes it right for them to have one place? I'm not sure how many GP practices we have across the borough of Lewisham.
I want to say, I'll add it to the description. I can't remember now, but there is a lot.
Why can't we have one in each, have a session in each practice? I mean, isn't that part of their core responsibility when managing health for each area? They manage, they do they have children check, they have the health visiting service, they've got school nursing, etc. All these different services coming out of the GP practice. That should be one of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely. Especially, again, for, I was thinking of my aunts and uncles, because I know my uncles ain't sitting down in no clinic. They're not. So, it's about going to where people are.
Exactly.
And meeting them where they're at and stop assuming that people can get to you. Because like I said, that's when we started the podcast today, I said, if you drive past the barbershops, there's always a group of men reasoning. You can walk up to a barbershop one day, give out some free condoms or something, a leaflet, but stop expecting that. And sometimes people don't know where to go as well.
And interestingly enough, they've done a project on barbershops in Brixton.
Okay.
So they're actually going to be going into schools and talking to the young people and doing, a bit of sexual health talk with them and building, healthy relationships and things like that. So there's look at the barber. There's so much, but it's to have people to actually do the work.
It's essential what you're saying though, that we sow seeds in the youngsters as early as possible, because it's awareness. Do you know what I mean? So they, like you were saying, Callum, about body is your temple. They have to have that as an identity. Do you know what I mean? It goes back to that identity. Absolutely. Who do I want to be? I want my body to be a temple.
It's even like us at our age, we want our bodies to be temples.
Absolutely. And that's where it begins there. But it's raising the awareness when they're young enough, so they understand little by little. So that when they get to the teenage or the 20s or whatever, and they're mixing with all sorts of people, they've got that awareness. It's like, no, my body's my temple. I'm not gonna, because you can't just rely on fixing things. You have to build it from the start and make it right as much as we can.
I make my son turn around and read the back of ingredients. He's eating sweets. I say, don't listen to what I'm saying. Turn it round and read it. You're asking for it. Okay, so what is it? And the other day, I can't remember what it was, like a drink or something. So I turn it around and look at it. So he couldn't even tell me what half the ingredients were. It was like a prime or something. Not so I should cut that. But I was like, what is that? He was like, I don't know. I said, you know what that is? It's another word for sugar. So read the next one. Do you know what that is? No. I said, okay, that's another word for sugar. There's like 5 words here for just sugar. Do you know what I mean?
Back to what I was saying, it's about education, because once people understand what it is they're eating, drinking, they'll do better.
And we need to demand from the GPs and our services that these services exist, because the private sector shouldn't be compensating for what our taxes pay for. Do you know what I mean? I say often that in such a strong economy, charities that exist are in part a failure of what the government is supposed to be doing. It shouldn't be so much charities that have to exist, because we pay enough tax for these services to exist and be integral to the community we live in. So we need to demand them we need to be saying to the GP services, sending them in like bulk letters, like we want some sort of sexually health sexually health clinic once a month or something like that. There's power in numbers and demanding these services.
It needs to be more targeted, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely.
A real, a proper business case that it makes sense, and they take you more seriously. Like a lot of the work you're doing,
and it's about us, as grassroots organisations. We are powerful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's for us to be telling them. You know, and I often, you know, when I have certain meetings with certain people, I tell them, you know, I do what I do with or without you. Yeah, I'm quite clear about that.
Unstoppable.
Seriously,
Yeah,
I just do, you know, I fund what I do other ways,
Yeah.
legitimately, but I do what I do. I'll do what I do without you. You know, so even like it was really interesting because there's another project that I'm kind of like involved in, my hummingbird project, which is so dear to my heart. So the Hummingbird are a senior citizen club in Catford and meet at St Lawrence's Church, and oh gosh, they're just so amazing. You know, so funnily enough, I applied for some money to do something through Lewisham. Didn't get the money, and that same week, lottery came through with the £10,000 for me to do the project.
Oh, wonderful.
So, I'm not going to detract from what I know you want to talk about.
It's fine.
But what you said there, we should come back to it. It's powerful what you said about I'll do what I want to do, regardless if they love you or not. Because we need to really take responsibility for what we want to do.
That's why I
it's
do what I do.
It's such an important thing.
That's why I do what I do. Seriously.
People need to realize that we're not always going to be bailed out or whatever. We have to just make.
We can't wait for them to bail us out because we're in a crisis. We cannot wait. Yeah, and I say to people, I wish there was like hundreds of me all over the place, you know, and other people as well, because one hand can't clap.
Yeah.
I can't do all the walking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to do as much as I can as long as I got health and strength. You know, so the project now, my lovely hummingbird project. This project so much. So our senior citizens, because lots of money goes into like children and other services, but the elderly now, they don't really get a look in. You know, it's almost like they're waiting to go and see him up there or him down there, whichever it may be.
Whichever they choose.
Whichever they choose. I hope they've lived their life. So, you know, but on a serious note, not you know, people don't really kind of like invest or take much note. You know, you retire and you're just left to, you know, you got your freedom pass. You know, you might go shopping, you might go and see your family, you might take up your looking after your grandchildren. Some people are just alone, which is unfortunate for whatever reason. So when I popped down there to see them now, and they said they want a walking group, I said, I can't walk with them like how I walk. When we walk into Trafalgar Square, we're going to Clapham and all them places. We can't walk like that with them. And with that particular cohort, they have a lot of health conditions as well. Right. So we had to pull a project team together. I had to, you know, so we got a physiotherapist. We had nurses on the project because we have to look after our people, our elders, our kings and queens. So we had 2 days of assessments, but before that, when we wrote the paper, I thought, oh, could there was a, you know what can I do cool? I said, all right then, because I had to build that relationship with them, of course, you know, over so many weeks. So then when we said we're going to start the project, I thought, we might get about 20 of them come out and walk. When I went into St Lawrence's Church, I kid you not, there must have been about 60 of them. I said, Jesus Christ, how are we going to get through all the assessments? But what was so powerful, when they sat down with the nurse and the physiotherapist, they never get that level of care from their GP. Yeah. Imagine we started at 2 o'clock. We never finished till after 5. After 5.
Wow.
After 5. But they talked about their ailments. They talked about where it was hurting them. One of them, I can't call her name, right? She had a blood pressure of over 200, because we did blood pressure checks as well. Yeah, we said you have to go to the hospital immediately, or go to your GP immediately. Yeah, another lady who we did a check on, we said to her, you need to go and see your GP, and her GP is monitoring her. So that's me, that's us, not just me. I don't want to take all the credit. It's not just me. Sure. There's a team. Yeah. And if I'm doing that for that little cohort, can you imagine the level of ill health that's in our community that's going undetected? Serious. So now that we've done the project and we're gonna write it up, I want to go to other parts of our boroughs where they've got, we've got quite a few like Black, Caribbean, African elderly groups meeting. And I want to go in there and deliver the same project for them.
Right.
Get them active, but get them assessed.
Yeah,
do
yeah,
their
yeah,
blood
yeah.
pressure, do, their pulse, and go for a proper health check with them. If we can refer them on to go and see, you've got to go to the doctor, you've got to go to we will do that.
Yeah. I love that. Wow.
That's
Powerful.
wonderful.
All right, so we've got a few minutes left, but I need to get through these opportunities for actions. So there's 6, and Callum, I know you now. I'm going to ask you to read them for me if you don't mind.
No worries,
Or we can share the load.
Okay, so the first one, and I don't have my glasses, and I started wearing glasses recently, and I'm realizing I actually need them as much as I was in
I'm
denial.
going to borrow mine.
You can borrow mine, Callum.
So the first one is work with Black African and Black Caribbean communities and organizations to co-create and deliver culturally appropriate and accessible support on positive health behaviors, including health literacy training, social prescribing initiatives and group interventions. Fantastic. I think that's quite a good one. I'm usually just as a bit of context, I'm usually quite critical of these actions for change. I think that's a decent one.
It's definitely
That's
required. Definitely required.
The next one is explicitly recognize racism and discrimination as a driver of ill health and put in place training and systems to enable trauma-informed practices and services. That one for me is
That's to make sure that those that we go to see have a better understanding and a way of working with us. Do you know what I mean? That's how I'm reading that.
So I absolutely get it, but then recognizing racism and discrimination as a driver of ill health, we already know that that's the case. So it's already recognized, but it's what can be done on a wider level.
I suppose the question for me there is who needs to recognise. Because that's
because we know
there's got to be a who involved.
I
will that who want to recognise? Will they see a reason to recognise, or do they even believe that there is a problem anyway?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a lot in that small statement there. And I think until that bit is done, what the second part of the sentence is
redundant.
I mean, there's a piece of
agree.
work going on now by the Race Equality Commission, and I only know because they've invited me to sit in their meetings. And one of the things that I've said to them, a lot of these organisations, whether it be voluntary or statutory, they all have policies in place. They need to be held accountable.
absolutely.
And if they're not doing what they're supposed to be, they need to be called out.
Right.
100%.
Yeah? And that's what I've told them. Yes, I don't mince my words. Yeah. So we need to have, there needs to be a mechanism in place, even at this local level here, whereby, okay, this is all beautifully worded. Now, how do we hold them accountable? How do we get them to demonstrate what they're doing? How do we hold them accountable? How do we measure what they're doing?
That is it. That is exactly it.
Yeah. I think you worded what I was trying to say perfectly.
Yeah.
What's the metric of success for
Yes.
recognizing racism and discrimination?
I mean, this has been going on for years.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we're
Exactly.
what second, third generation in this country. None of this is new. Yeah. But we just need to be calling them out, or there just needs to be something in place that we can measure, and they need to demonstrate. They're getting actual money to deliver certain elements of what, the different policies and things connected to this. And we as well need to know, even at our level, in every household should know the basics of what they're supposed to be doing. Are they meeting these targets? Why are they meeting these targets? And if they're meeting it, that's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, you're right.
The third one is provide long-term investment for trusted Black African and Black Caribbean grassroots organizations, such as faith groups, schools, voluntary and community sector organizations to deliver community-led interventions.
I would like to know what long-term means.
I would like to know what grassroots means, because they mentioned faith groups and schools.
Yeah,
But schools, there aren't any grassroots schools in Lewisham at the moment, as far as I know.
No, but we've got the
Ubuntu is
Saturday
probably the
schools.
only one.
We have the Saturday schools, I guess. Oh my God, it's got out my head. But the group that meets at St Dunstan's on Saturdays.
Yeah,
Maybe
the
those types of
Lila,
spaces, yeah.
Lewisham Young Leaders Academy.
And then there's Harmony and Acorns as well.
You've got Harmony and
as well,
Acorns,
yeah.
and you've got Ubuntu, but
Yes,
it's just recognizing what they mean when they say schools, and what that means. And I think faith groups, there needs to be a big push, because we congregate every Sunday.
Exactly, we're there.
In the thousands.
It's the way to get us.
So that's one way that we could really be targeted in that way.
I know there's been working with faith groups. So there's the Interfaith Forum that they have, and they meet and discuss different topics, and that's got it's actually quite an amazing space to be in.
Yeah.
When you've got different religious, sectors in the room and talking about how they can get to their congregation and support them. But it's about making sure that's consistent.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, where they talk about voluntary and community sector organisations, so a lot of us, evolved in the lockdown and just after. So it's really about, having that support to ensure that we are properly constituted and set up correctly. So we can engage, especially when it comes to procurement and things like that. As much as I used to say, you know what, their money, I just want to, because the thing is, when you get into bed with certain things, it's like they're driving the agenda, and I know what the agenda is for my community.
Yes.
Yeah. But at the same time, I've got to kind of I've had to shift my mindset slightly. So it's really about, it's all good and well them saying that, but we know within our community we've got some amazing groups. It's just they're not properly set up. It's just a voluntary thing, but they need to have the infrastructure in place, and they should be supported to have the infrastructure in place, because they're already doing the work and they need to be recognised for the work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and support is the word I would have said is missing from that.
Yes.
Because, it might be support to get started or to keep going or
how to get the right policies in place and, things like that to be properly constituted. Or they're going to be a CIC or CIO, whatever they're going to, and I've had to do all that myself because, I've been pulled into certain lays. So, when I had to become the delivery arm for the NHS, I had to make sure I was properly set up so that, for their procurement sections as well. And even with the lottery, I had to be properly set up to receive that level of funding from them. So, a lot of these organisations, whether they're working in mental health or they're doing physical activity like what we do, in order to get that proper funding, then they need to be properly set up. And there needs to be an infrastructure in place to support and help them to do that.
Yeah. I will say, though, I do know that they've, Lewisham Council have procured a company within Lewisham to help the third sector to get understanding of governance and how to write bids and everything else. So they've made way with that. But again, it's about how long is that company going to be commissioned for?
Sure.
Are you is it going to continuous thing? How do you know it's working? All of
I was just going to say, and how do we know they're reaching
the right people?
The right people as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Number 4.
Address the evidence deficit in interventions for Black African and Black Caribbean communities through targeted investment in research, including capacity and skills development for community providers in action research to concurrently deliver and evaluate interventions. This goes back to what we were speaking about in the beginning. Donovan, if you remember, we were talking about that sometimes it's hard to translate the sort of holistic progress, if you will, of some grassroots projects to sort of formalize it into the pro formas that they have to determine success. Do you know what I mean? So if someone has a completely changed worldview of what health is, they go into a shop and eat healthier and these kind of things. It's tricky to capsulate that at times. Do you see what I'm saying? So that this would be interested how they go about that.
And it's also about us engaging with the process.
Absolutely.
Because when we spoke about the data right at the start, who are those people? How much people did they actually reach? So we do need to access, and you did say, Akila said it before, that we have to fill out these forms. And I understand when they asked you your name, address, I could say leave that bit out, but fill out the rest of it.
Yeah, but remember, some of them were thinking, another farm.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, and it's
yeah.
not even so much that. All right, they fill out the form. They need to know, well, what's
happens
happened?
after that?
What happens after that? You know, did it help to develop a particular policy? Is it going to drive delivering a particular service?
Yes.
But you fill out the form and then
You don't hear anything.
what else? What happens?
Yeah.
And I think that's why people become disengaged. You know, they say, you know, they can't be bothered. And we just have to change the way in which we do things and be a bit more, whether it be a bit more clear and transparent, or say,
transparency is what's
you
needed.
know, right, you're going to do this and we're hoping that we're going to get this at the end. So in a way, you know, you want to bring them into the vision, you know, and they might even have some good idea to say, well, why don't you ask this question or that question, or why don't you do this, or, you know, it's the way in which we engage.
Yeah.
Fill the form. It can't just be another form.
It's got
absolutely,
absolutely
intentional.
You missed number 4.
Oh,
That's what I thought, you know.
Wow, I did.
But when you
Do
but-
you know what? Because it spoke about faith, so I was
But to be fair,
read
it does.
It
link-
touched on the
yeah.
number
It does
3,
touch on what we've spoken
Alright,
anyway.
alright.
Yeah,
Alright.
I will read it just
Yeah,
to.
go.
It's work with faith settings to understand and utilize the positive role that faith plays in healthier behavior decision making.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. I could talk for a couple hours on that, so
Yeah.
I won't even get into that.
And it's interesting that they always see us as black people immersed in faith. There's a huge cohort of people that are not in faith, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So it's really interesting that they always seem to have that perception or that idea, or written into literature, especially around us and faith.
Absolutely.
Are you thinking ulterior motive?
Well, it's the way they see us.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. It's the way they see
It's
us.
fair comment. Fair comment.
The last one is undertake insight research with members of smaller Black African and Black Caribbean populations, for example, Somali, Ethiopian, and Eritrean, to understand health literacy needs.
Yeah. And I know that work has been underway to support these groups, because again, when we was first commissioned to support the BLACHIR engagement, one thing I said was, well, this is not accessible. There's parts of our community that English isn't their first language. How are they going to access and read this and engage with it? But they have started that work with smaller groups within the community. And we've actually been able to speak with those groups and ask them, what is your language? And go back to public health and say, we need these translations for the community. But yeah, these groups are, you know, when you talk about our population, you've got to understand we break down into different intricacies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm from the Caribbean, but my family may be from a different island to you or something else. So the way we work there might be slightly different, and understand that we're not one size fits all.
That's right.
And you've got to understand the layers of us and make sure that the support given is right for who we are. So I think that's a really good one. And like I said, they have started actioning it. But again, with all of these, it's about consistency, because you might meet one generation, but what happens to the younger generation? It needs to be a continuous thing that's always being pushed out by public health to make sure that we don't have to have another BLACHIR 2 point whatever. But yeah, so before we end, I wanted you to just to go back slightly, because I need to make sure you big up yourselves for what you guys did the other day
Absolutely.
with your ride. So do you want to tell us about the bike ride that the Walking Men group went on?
What I'll tell you a story about Richard, who's one of the guys who went on the walk. So myself and my brother, we've been riding on and off for a number of years, so we're reasonably fit. Richard, he's not quite as old as me. He's getting there, not quite as old as me, but he hadn't ridden for like over 30 years. He hadn't ridden a bike over 30 years. I put out to the group, we're going to do this ride London. Is anyone interested? 10 people put their name down. Yeah, we created a WhatsApp group, a subgroup within the group. And when it came to start training in March, 6 dropped out. Yeah. And there's left with me, my brother, Richard, and Daddy. And Richard hadn't ridden. He bought a bike. We started off, first ride, we just rode up to Greenwich, 9 miles, whatever. He's ready to throw the bike away. He's cursing me and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, dear.
And we were riding like 7 o'clock every Saturday morning before traffic comes out. And literally every week, it's 10 weeks, he came and added miles on. And little by little, he got better. But the biggest ride we ever did before the 62 was a 40 miler. And then the last 2 weeks, he didn't ride. And on the day, you know, he's there, he was riding, we got halfway, about 30 miles, and he said, right, I'm not stopping from here. And I'm like, you got to stop to go to the loo, to get something to drink, to get something. He said, no, he ain't stopping. And he never stopped on the last 30 miles.
Wow.
He never stopped. And he wasn't going fast or whatever, but he just had that determination that he was going to get to the finish line. He weren't going to stop. I mean, I stopped and had to catch him up, all that stuff, me and my brother. And and you know, we all came through the finishing line together. And it was just an amazing moment for myself, my brother, on behalf of Richard, really, because it's the epitome of what we're trying to do with the Walking Men. It's like, just go out your comfort zone a little bit. That was a big bit out of his comfort zone. But it's like, take people out the comfort zone, link up with someone, do something different. Yeah, because I think in life, we should all do something different in life. So Walking Men is all about expanding, sharing, connecting together, and just having a bit of fun as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not all about the diseases and ailments and whatever. We get to 60 or that. It's about having fun.
And view, isn't it?
You know, I think Rich was the epitome, and I honestly, I got nothing but respect for him because it was hard.
Yeah,
it was hard for him, and he's still cursing me. But so you know, that's what the Walking Men do. I mean, I can leave you the details after.
Yeah, we'll make sure in the YouTube description
sure.
all your stuff's there as well.
Yeah,
perfect. And Joan, before we go, did you get to tell us?
I don't normally bring out the medals, but I thought, no, just
show
for
them.
you.
I don't usually bring out the medals.
No, I don't.
Show them, Joan.
Just for you. Just for you.
So go and tell us quickly about these.
So we do lots. We do lots of things for charity. So about 3 years ago, and I very much like to support our community, Black community. So I decided to do. One of the Queens approached me to do the London Winter Walk. Okay then, and you can do it for a charity. So when you look on their list of charities, none of them are us. None of them are our Black charities. So I had to work out now, you know, who we're gonna support. So for the first year, we did the walk. So it's a half a marathon, 13 miles. You know, and the Queens, they weren't very happy when they did it, but you know, 'cause for the first one. But you know, we raised about £2,500 for Urban Synergy. So that was the first year. So then we did the walk again last year for 100 Black Men of London.
Yes.
And we raised about 2,600 for them.
Wow.
And this year, it's funny, you know, things that drop in your spirit. So when I was thinking about who could we walk for this year, and this particular charity, I just, close to my heart. So many of you might know Colette Hunter. Yeah. She's got the James Ross Hunter youth support group. So we walked for her. So we raised 1,300 for their charity, and they had like a celebration of James. It's like it's 10 years since he was murdered in Sydenham, and so that dropped in my spirit to do that for her. So that's what we did back in January. So my medals.
They're wicked. So I'll have them hanging from my car.
So each year when we do the walk, you know, we get a medal. So this is the one that we did with Colette, 2024. I can't even see. This is 2023. So this is when we did 100 Black Men, and this one was when we did Urban Synergy. So again, you know, I'll be kind of like contemplating which Black charity, because our Black charities don't get funding. A lot of them self-fund. A lot of them use their own money to do the work that they do in our community. So it's a travesty, really. So you know, if you know of a charity, let me know. And you know, whether they're, you know, true to what what they're doing, I will support them. So I support a lot of people doing stuff. So that's that one. So, you know, everyone's been touched by cancer. So last year we walked. Was it last year? It was last year, yeah. Last year we walked, so we did the Shine Walk, raised a bit of money as well for them, and it's really interesting when you put things out within the Queen's community. Different things touch different people, so you always get different. You know, when you look at the things that, you know, who you're walking for, my mum, my sister, my dad, you know, and you don't realise, you know, they've had those challenges in their lives. So so we did that. What did I do? Oh, this was a fun one. So there's a particular garage. Am I allowed to say who it is?
Yes, you can.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So grips tyres in Verdant Lane. A lot of us go there and get our tyres done.
Yeah.
And so when I popped in there, I was actually rushing to deliver my hummingbird project one Monday, and I had a flat tyre. So mad. So I had to quickly go up there. He says, and if you know him, he's quite a character, Reg. You know, I'm doing this walk. Do you want to? I need people to walk. So I said, well, I run the Queen's Walking Group. So from the time he mentioned walking, I was on it. So we did this walk 12th of May, day after my birthday, for the charity. And one of the queens, she is recovering from breast cancer. So we really did it for her. So she, you know, it's not always a death sentence. So we did it for the survivors as well of cancer, per se. So we did 8 miles through the wonderful hills of Keston. I think we raised nearly 2,100 we've raised so far for them. And what Reg is going to do is going to match what we've done.
Wow.
So, and he said he'll give us like £5 for every K that we've walked. So, yeah, we've done that.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So we've done. Oh, and I did Race for Life last Saturday. So we walked from
last Saturday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, last Saturday. Yeah, so last Saturday, you know, because again, you know, they're raising money for cancer as well. So, you know, as I say, you know, right across the Queen's network, up and down the UK, everyone's been touched by this awful disease. I mean, I can't think of how many funerals I've been to alone where that's what's kind of like, you know, put the X on their card. Yeah. So, we did that. So, only 3 of us. And I've got another set of queens who are walking on the 30th of June in Blackheath, but I can't do that because I have another event. Okay. But they're really doing good fundraising. So we try, and we're embedded in the community. Sure. You know, most people, I'm out, you see how I'm dressed like this, you know, I walk there, see me in the community walk, often they'll stop me, you know, can I join your group? Of course you can join, of course you can come. But the thing is, can you get up 8 o'clock? Can you be there at 8 o'clock in the morning? You know, that's the real challenge. That's the real challenge for a lot of them. So, excellent. Yeah, we do a lot of stuff.
Well, thank you both for the work you do. It's just absolutely amazing, and I'm in awe of both of you. And what I want to see, I'm going to give you to the end of the year, and I'm going to message you both that you lot have come together and done something.
Yeah, for sure.
So I hope you had a fun time with us. I know it's not supposed to be fun, but a good deep conversation with us. And thank you guys for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Go into the comments, leave us your thoughts. Make sure you engage with the description so you know how to find Queen Joan and find Donovan from the Walking Men group, and just make sure you engage. So see you next time.